Imagine you suddenly awakened as a hunter. One would expect to have powers to split planets apart. But no, your powers literally come from cracking fine shits. If such a phenomena intrigues you, then this manhwa is just for you. So with your generic power-scaling manhwa number 999 in hands, let's begin our recap. The manhwa opens at a fan signing event, where excitement hums through the air. It is finally the female protagonist's turn. She approaches Ethan, the visual member of the 5-member male idol group Mandolin. Once, they experimented with every concept imaginable to capture the hearts of women, yet despite their efforts, they became a group buried under complete public indifference. She manages to enter the fan signing event today after buying only a single album, and she carries a sense of quiet pride with her. She eagerly tries to boast to Ethan about her recent accomplishment, receiving level 1 in all subjects on her latest mock exam. Yet Ethan responds with a flat, emotionless acknowledgement, a dryness that leaves her momentarily stunned. Still determined, she explains that because of this achievement, she will no longer be able to attend events like this. The news jolts him. He looks genuinely alarmed as she reveals the reason. She is now a high school senior, and her mother has set a firm rule. She may only attend fan events again once she is admitted into Korea University's School of Law. The thought seems to trouble him, and she can see that concern flicker in his expression. And yet, she tells herself there is still over a year before the CSAT, enough time, she thinks bitterly, for an obscure idol group like his to quietly disband. She admits that she came today without her mother's knowledge, promising herself she will return the moment her CSAT ends. Hearing this, Ethan asks her to make him a promise that she will get into law school and come see him again. Only then, he says, will he return her mock exam report card. The sudden sincerity of it makes her flush. She cannot bear the thought of letting her cute appa's hand be touched again by her own sweaty palm. Her turn ends, and she begins to step aside, but Ethan quickly signals his staff to pause. He insists that they finish their promise properly. As they do, she can hardly believe what is happening. She is holding hands with her favorite idol. Her heart races even after she finally walks away. Just then, her phone buzzes. A message from her mother flashes across the screen, demanding that she come straight home after her supplementary class at the academy. She knows she must leave quickly before she is caught. But before she can move, a low rumble spreads through the mall. Something begins to rupture in the air, a trembling, pulsing distortion. She turns around and sees a strange shape forming in the sky itself. It is evolving, expanding, twisting into something she recognizes with dread. A gate. The first gate appeared in Thailand, in 1986, a mysterious portal connected to dungeons where monsters exist. It is a catastrophic phenomenon that devours everything in its vicinity the moment it manifests. And by the 21st century, such gates began appearing throughout South Korea as well. Now, of all possible moments, one erupts inside the shopping mall where she stands. Breaking news flashes across television screens. At 6:30 a.m., a gate incident has occurred in Seoul. The broadcast cuts to reporter Suhu, who is stationed on site. As he prepares to begin his report, the female protagonist, panting and frantic, rushes into view. She calls out to him. Desperate, her Rappa is still inside. Suhu apologizes, saying he is in the middle of a live report, but she cries that as a reporter he must tell her anything about her idol. He assures her that her idol will be safe and gently tells her to wipe her nose first before panicking any further. Then, turning back toward the camera, he resumes the live broadcast. He announces that he is reporting directly from the shopping mall where the incident has taken place. Somewhere else, a viewer watching the screen recognizes the chaotic scene and comments with surprise. Isn't that Hera on television? And the man she has latched onto is none other than a public broadcaster's news anchor. Thanks to her emotional outburst being broadcast live across the entire nation, chaos naturally descends upon her home. Her parents erupt in fury, shouting that she has humiliated them beyond repair. They claim they can no longer show their faces in public, that they raised her only for her to disgrace the family name. Waving the paper she brought back from the event, they demand to know what use such scraps could possibly have. If she isn't at least academically exceptional, what place does she have drawing attention to herself? Until the moment she enters a university, they warn, if she does anything at all, that might make her stand out, she will be expelled from the house. Hara retreats to her room and sits on her bed, weighed down by shame and frustration. Yet a quiet determination forms within her. She vows that she will become a law student. She will walk into Korea University with her head held high, and she will meet Ethan again without trembling. After that incident, the school hallways buzz with whispers. Students murmur that she is the girl who babbled nonsense on live television. Meanwhile, the rookie reporter who had comforted her gains sudden, idol-level popularity, his gentle demeanor having captivated viewers across the country. And Ethan, caught inside the mall during the catastrophe, awakens as an S-class, an incredibly rare outcome. In this era, the most coveted dream job is no longer celebrity or doctor, but S-class hunter. Naturally, Ethan's popularity explodes overnight. 17-year-olds are required to undergo an awakening eligibility test, so Hara had taken it as well. At the time, it felt like something belonging to a distant world, utterly unrelated to an ordinary girl like her. Surely, she thought, it had nothing to do with her. But the very next day, a man appears at her school asking if she is Hara. When she confirms it, he introduces himself as a representative from the Ministry of National Defense. He tells her they have completed the state-administered physical examination on her behalf. Confused, she wonders what this could possibly be about. The man continues, explaining that the results have identified her as a candidate for practical safety service, meaning she is a potential Hunter Awakening candidate. He hands her the official results sheet and asks her to review it carefully. The notice states that service candidates must register with their regional disaster management agency within 15 days of receiving the announcement. The period of service is long, far longer than she ever imagined. A single anxious question rises in her mind. What about law school? Hara, who dreamed of reuniting with her beloved idol by entering Korea University's School of Law, suddenly finds herself redirected into the path of public service. When she informs her family of her mandatory service, the household erupts once more. They shout, demanding to know whether she thinks they paid for private schooling just so she could end up like this. They cannot understand how she could possibly have turned out in such a way. Her younger brother, however, cheers. Thanks to her service, he will be exempt from the military. In their eyes, the eldest daughter, who was meant to become a judge and support the family, has somehow been reduced to a grade 9 civil servant. It is exactly the reaction she expected, yet the sting remains. Still, she is an awakened one now. Shouldn't that mean she can earn money? Unfortunately, that is only true for high-rank awakeners. In harsh contrast, the reality of an E-rank awakener is bleak. After 10 long years of service, her total savings amount to barely 150,000 won. The number is so pitiful she wonders if she should simply gamble on a lottery ticket. A colleague notices her gloomy expression and asks what's wrong. Hara admits that she became depressed after checking her bank balance. Her coworker glances around, observing that it seems the filming in the other department has already finished, so their team should begin preparing as well. She instructs Hara to tidy up and take a seat. Hara wonders why she, of all people, has to appear. She had heard only the senior officers would be featured in the promotional video. But her colleague clarifies that the shoot begins with a full sweep through the Manistone Management Department, so she needs to be ready. She knows they still need sketch materials, but those have already been arranged. She only asks whether the cameras are coming, yet her colleague informs her that not only the cameras, but Suhu is on his way as well. Suhu, Korea's most beloved journalist, currently ranked third among the most influential public figures of 2025, rose to fame through countless acts of bravery, from rescuing a child caught in a raging river to boldly confronting high-ranking politicians. But his most legendary moment remains that incident, the one where Hara was seen crying during an interview. Even now, he occasionally wonders if she is doing well, and muses that one day he would like to find her again. Back in the present, Hara spirals internally, unable to comprehend why Suhu of all people must come here. Her colleague tries to reassure her, insisting that it has already been 10 years, and he has surely forgotten. She urges Hara to simply sit still and act as though she is the only staff member in the Manistone Management Department. He will never notice her. Hara admits that this might be true, but the idea of being caught on camera already feels suffocating enough. The team announces that they will also be filming the Manistone storage today, and asks Hara whether she organized it that morning. Realizing she has not, she immediately dashes off to fix it. Inside the Manistone storage, she grumbles in frustration, unable to understand why the public interest video couldn't be filmed at the station instead of dragging them all the way out here. The air feels off. She senses another presence and calls out, demanding to know who is there. In the next instant, someone drops a Manistone, an A-rank Manistone, causing her to stumble backward in shock. The producer arrives at that very moment, camera in hand, announcing that this is the most important section of the Manistone Management Department. They all freeze upon seeing her sitting on the floor, and she is left utterly bewildered, unable to understand what on earth is happening. A few days later, she apologizes to her colleague for the delay in filming caused by her mistake. Her colleague brushes it off, saying the incident allowed them to visit a broadcasting station, which was enjoyable, and even Hara's makeup looks good today. She urges Hara to show at least a little sincerity. No matter how discouraged she feels, she must press on, especially with her debts still unpaid. Yes, Hara has a debt, the fine for breaking an A-rank mana stone. Yet an A-rank stone would never shatter in the hands of someone with E-rank strength, so she cannot understand why no one believes her. Someone calls for the hunter and the rest of the staff to move. The cameraman asks Suhu if he is ready, and when he responds affirmatively, a shiver runs down Hera's spine. The moment she looks at him, her heart practically leaps out of her chest. He glances toward her to check if she is all right, but she is too stunned to speak. Concluding that he must have startled her, he wonders if she is hurt. She hides her face and insists she is fine, then bolts away, leaving him utterly confused. The cameraman suggests beginning the rehearsal, and the shoot resumes. Hara silently thanks fate for the fact that Suhu did not recognize her. If she can just stay quiet for half a day, everything will be fine. But life never bends to one's wishes. The news anchor attempts to activate something for the shoot, but cannot make it work. She glances toward Hara and asks her to try it in her place. Hara, startled, tries to refuse, but the anchor reminds her that filming is already behind schedule. She only needs to give it a quick attempt. Desperate, Hara silently pleads for rescue. From God, from Buddha, from Allah, from the Greek and Roman pantheons, from any deity willing to intervene. A luminous panel abruptly manifests before her. The nameless star hears your words and listens closely. Hera freezes. She has no idea what is happening. The environment begins to warp and shift. Reality itself trembles. A gate creation alert triggers. The nameless star approaches her, and she is forcibly accepted. Gear grade assigned. The gap between her and the nameless star measures 2 grades. Access forcibly permitted. She can only stare in disbelief. What in the world is happening to her? A gate forms, and panic erupts. People scatter, shrieking about a gate appearing inside a broadcasting station. She orders them not to run, telling them to take cover beneath the rift and remain still. Suho calls out to her, urging her to find shelter as well. But her eyes suddenly widen, because a second gate stands directly behind him. The gate creation is already complete. She urges him to look behind him, but instead, he tells her to dodge it. At this rate, he is going to be caught in the eruption, and she cannot allow a civilian to be dragged into this mess. She reaches out toward him, utterly desperate, all while his expression twists in confusion. In the very next moment she opens her eyes, the nameless star scoffs at her. She orders the screen to be quiet, her head throbbing with a relentless ache. She glances around, bewildered, wondering if she has been pulled inside a dungeon. But what kind of dungeon is this? Judging by its oppressive atmosphere and vastness, it feels like a big-grade dungeon, something far beyond anything she should ever encounter. It is absurd. She looks toward Suhu, who still has not regained consciousness. He is tall, broad-shouldered, and clearly someone who works out, but he is still just a civilian. This is a B-grade dungeon, while she herself is only E-grade. The realization settles like a weight on her chest. She is completely done for. The nameless star resumes viewing her information. Its reaction is immediate, utter disbelief. It scoffs again at her grade, baffled by how low it is. Then it wonders aloud why she has been kept tied down in civilian servitude without being taught any practical combat skills. She can only stare in confusion, her mind scrambling to keep up. A chilling idea strikes her. Could this possibly be a constellation? Constellations began appearing alongside the awakened when the first gates manifested. Normally, a person's grade can never change, but when someone encounters the right constellation, they can be elevated instantly. An ascension, something that transforms their entire capacity in a single moment. That is exactly how Ethan, her senior, earned his S grade years ago. The nameless star cuts off her frantic internal explanation, complaining that it is busy and asking her to skip the details. She has always heard that constellations do not appear unless absolutely necessary. So could that necessary element be her? She attempts to confirm it. Is it truly a constellation? And is she about to undergo a second awakening? The constellation seems stunned into silence before abruptly asking whether the man lying beside her is her boyfriend. She bursts internally, insisting that he is absolutely not her boyfriend. more like an automatic memory trigger who only brings back her most embarrassing moments. But the nameless star expresses interest in these so-called cringe memories, which horrifies her. She shouts mentally for it to stop. The nameless star continues scrolling through her information anyway. She begs it to stop and demands to know whether it has lost its mind, because it needs proper permission before accessing someone's personal information. These days, even the government cannot simply look up personal information whenever it pleases, yet the nameless star, her guiding celestial entity, erupts into laughter, asking whether her life is some kind of sitcom. She admits privately that if it truly were a sitcom, at least it would be entertaining. The nameless star presses on, pointing out the man she had previously dismissed, and asking whether he isn't handsome. Hera insists that she would date every other person in the world before even considering him. They hardly know one another, she reminds the star. There is no foundation between them at all. The star, however, becomes indignant, demanding to know what is wrong with her. Hera doesn't understand the anger, but the celestial being continues, scolding her for having no standards of self-protection, and then expressing irritation that she refuses to date such a supposedly excellent man. Hera protests that the criticism is too harsh. In a world as merciless as theirs, simply surviving takes everything she has. Where, she wonders, is the time or energy for romance? But the nameless star counters sharply, insisting that love is all the more necessary, because they are born into a cruel world. She sighs, thinking instead of the financial burdens pressing down on her. Money is an issue today, tomorrow, and every day after. In other countries, even E-rank hunters earn a reasonable living by selling dungeon byproducts. But here, reality is far poorer. The nameless star snaps, asking what that has to do with anything. She responds that perhaps he should try living on the salary of a grade 9 civil servant, and then see whether dating feels remotely possible. The star clicks its tongue in annoyance, accusing her of having no ambition, calling her a hopeless case. Yet despite its sharp tongue, the being is still a constellation, an opportunity she cannot afford to waste. She steels herself, gathers her courage, and pleads with him to reconsider. She explains that even love cannot triumph over harsh reality. She gestures at her glasses, bent, cheap, and poorly fitted, and asks whether these look like the accessories of someone who has the luxury to date. The nameless star recoils, exasperated by her weakness. It boasts of its ancient glory, recalling how in its era, it crossed oceans and even ventured into the underland. Of course she knows, if her rank were high enough, she too could cross oceans and visit the underworld. But she is merely an E-rank, trapped. E-rank. The constellation sees through her desperate flattery and schemes. She freezes. So it noticed, fine. That simply means she can drop the act. She confesses openly that she isn't even asking to be elevated to S-class. If she could become an A-rank, no, even an A-B hybrid, she would accept it gratefully. She would do anything the star asks. So she begs, won't it please become her constellation? It scoffs at her request. A second awakening? Is that what she wants? She answers without hesitation. Absolutely yes. The star considers her for a moment, then adds a condition. If she wants such a blessing, could she also agree to date that man? And Hera, desperate and cornered by her own ambitions, blurts out that of course she can. But the instant the words leave her mouth, a chill floods her body. Her face drains of all color. She realizes she may have made a promise far more perilous than she intended. She pauses for a moment, steadying herself, and asks the man before her whether he is, by any chance, from a matchmaking company. No matter how unusual the circumstances, it feels excessive for someone to abruptly question her about dating the person right beside her. The nameless star, however, is hardly swayed by her confusion. Having lived for eons, it claims that even watching ants find mates eventually becomes a source of entertainment. It questions her lack of time for herself, an implication she cannot make sense of, until the being pulls out a certain relic from her past, the fan fiction she posted on an online cafe in 2010. The story contains her old dream of becoming a couple manager, boldly declaring her mission to unite Kanji and Ethan in holy matrimony. She can only stare in disbelief, certain the entity has finally gone insane. The nameless star claps delightedly, almost like an overexcited seal, proclaiming that it has perfectly understood her. She demands that it stop, yet the entity continues, asking whether she finally comprehends her own heart. According to it, this understanding qualifies her to form a constellation and interact with it. A constellation contract quest takes shape around her, demanding her acceptance, despite the fact that no alternative option is presented. What it promises, however, is tempting: an A5 rank upgrade, completing the quest would allow her to reach S-Class. The uncertainty of the conditions unsettles her, for a being with such immense pride should never lower itself to demand something as absurd as actual dating. Still, this contract is the only means she has for survival in this moment, and so the constellation contract is sealed at last. Elsewhere, Suhu awakens. His heart is pounding as he tries to make sense of the surroundings. A dungeon. He recalls that the staff had cut the breaker while renovating the set, and it seems someone must have accidentally touched the magic stone. Because of that single, reckless lapse in safety, everything spiraled into chaos. He wonders whether anyone besides him survived. He remembers the person who grabbed him earlier being swept away, but he convinces himself that if they were dragged in together, then perhaps they are safe as well. Determined, he rises to his feet, intending to locate them as quickly as possible. The moment he begins to move, unfamiliar noises drift through the dim space. He turns, half expecting a monster lurking nearby, only to find Hara approaching. She asks if he has regained consciousness, and he notes with relief that she appears unharmed. He reassures her that he is fine as well, grateful that both of them survived. He apologizes, believing the incident to be his fault, but she dismisses the notion immediately. Evacuating civilians comes before anything else. It is her duty. He thanks her for attempting to save him, but she insists gratitude is premature. They should save it for when they actually escape this place. She explains that she explored the area in search of shelter, yet the visibility remains limited, making it difficult to secure a safe spot. Suhu observes the surroundings and suggests a potential hiding place, a narrow gap beneath a pile of rocks. Hara considers it, though something else weighs on her mind. She hesitates, apologizing as she admits she doesn't know his name. Suhu finds the moment both baffling and oddly understandable. Not everyone keeps track of every celebrity after all. He informs her that his name is Suhu. She offers a polite greeting, and he in turn attempts to ask for her name, but the moment is abruptly swallowed by a sound emerging from a nearby thicket. A soft, unsettling scream cuts through the dungeon air. Both freeze, searching the shadows. From between the bushes, something emerges. A creature resembling a rabbit, yet unmistakably wrong. Not a normal rabbit at all. And before either of them can fully grasp its nature, the shock forces a single, instinctive thought through both of their minds. What is this? The moment the creature steps fully into view, both of them bolt. What stands before them is a D-rank carnivorous rabbit, an absurd classification for something so deceptively small, yet it is known to be on par with a tiger in ferocity and killing power. Hara and Suhu sprint across the dungeon floor, breath sharp and uneven, the rabbit's claws scraping against the stone close behind. Suhu quickly shouts over the pounding of their footsteps that they should head for the cave ahead. Without hesitation, they veer toward the narrow entrance, slipping inside just as the monstrous rabbit lunges after them. They press themselves deep into the cramped shelter, yet the creature doesn't give up. It slams its body against the opening again and again, trying to force its way inside. Only then does Hara notice the blood trailing down Suhu's arm. He attempts to brush it off, insisting that it is nothing more than a scratch and that he will be fine. She feels a pang of guilt, apologizing under her breath, believing she should have protected him. But he counters the thought. An E-rank hunter can't possibly handle an A-D rank monster. No one in his position could. The rabbit thrusts itself against the cave entrance once more, cracking stone as it gains several more inches into the opening. They both can see the truth. There is no possible way they can defeat this creature. Not like this. Hara leans towards Suhu, whispering something barely audible in the hot, suffocating air. He turns toward her in confusion, wondering whether she has a plan. Instead, she simply gives her name, Hara. He stares, bewildered, unable to understand why she is suddenly introducing herself at a time like this. The realization crushes her. Internally, she wants to collapse. She wants to die of embarrassment, because just 1 hour earlier she had been congratulated on forming a contract with the constellation Cupid. Yes, Cupid, the god of love. She had no idea why Greek and Roman mythology suddenly entered her life like this, but there it was. The constellation Cupid had immediately scolded her for forgetting who they were, especially after she had been the one who called upon them. She protested, insisting she never genuinely believed any god would answer her careless prayers. Cupid lamented her lack of gratitude, wounded by her indifference after making the effort to appear. Trying to move past the awkwardness, she decided to at least check whether the constellation granted her any useful skills. But what she found only deepened her despair. The descriptions were vague, confusing, and seemingly useless. None of it made sense. and she had assumed she would be able to use the skills immediately after forming the contract. Now, with a deadly creature clawing its way into the cave, and Suhu bleeding beside her, she realizes how painfully unprepared she is. And yet, whether she likes it or not, the only thing standing between them and certain death is whatever strange, baffling power Cupid has given her. The constellation coughs in exasperation, as though offended by her naive expectations. It wonders aloud whether she truly believed becoming an S rank would be that simple. With a long, weary sigh, the celestial being laments that young people these days all want their achievements handed to them without effort. Hara demands to know what she is actually supposed to do, and the constellation responds with detached authority. As the contracted user, she must complete a companion quest with the designated partner. Upon completing this quest, she will automatically awaken as an S rank. She instantly understands what that implies. The designated user can only be Suhu. Then the full quest objective appears before her eyes. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The task is embarrassingly simple yet impossibly humiliating. Her first objective is to exchange names with the designated user, Suhu. Upon completion, her skill reward will unlock. Failure to complete the quest will halt all progress permanently, condemning her to remain E rank forever. She practically screams at the constellation, calling them a scammer, a con artist, a cosmic swindler. And yet here she is, backed into this unbelievable situation, where she is being forced to introduce herself in the most mortifying moment imaginable. She feels like her sanity is slipping. How can she possibly do something this ridiculous inside a cramped cave while a monster is actively trying to kill them? Saying her own name now makes her feel like a complete lunatic. Before she can spiral any further, the monstrous rabbit thrusts a claw into the cave, scraping across Suhu's back. She sees fresh blood spreading across his bag. The situation becomes stark and immediate. She can't afford to delay this any longer. Shame can come later. Survival comes now. She gathers her courage and urges him to speak her name. It is the only way out of this nightmare. Suhu, startled and confused but desperate, calls her name Hara. Instantly, a notification appears. Quest Objective 1, complete. Another prompt follows, asking her to unlock a skill. She assumes it must be some grand, powerful S-rank skill, and decides she will pick whatever option appears. Without thinking, she selects a skill titled, Just Thinking of Him Makes Me Stronger. For a full heartbeat, the entire dungeon goes silent. Even the rabbit seems baffled. A new message flickers in front of her eyes. The skill is a passive skill, therefore she must select another. She stands frozen in mortified disbelief. They could have told her that earlier. Now she has not only embarrassed herself in front of Suhu, she has also embarrassed herself in front of a monster. She tries to understand what kind of ability could classify as a passive skill, and the system's description clarifies itself as a 30-point boost to her health. Suhu studies her expression with concern, wondering if this new development has created an unexpected problem. She reassures him that nothing is wrong. In fact, she believes she can resolve the situation and suggests that they head outside immediately. He hesitates, startled by the timing she seems to be implying, especially since the rabbits are still lurking outside. Yet she urges him to trust her, promising that she will get them out safely. Her confidence leaves him momentarily stunned, but he eventually agrees, knowing that if she miscalculates the tiniest fraction of timing, the situation will collapse instantly. They wait for the moment the rabbit drops its card, and the instant it happens, she springs out. She intends to activate her flight skill, only to immediately trip before she can even lift herself off the ground. She casts the spell again, and this time the ability responds perfectly, lifting her into the air. She quickly realizes how reckless the controls are, her body shooting upward with enough velocity to turn her into a literal star in the sky. Suhu watches, completely overwhelmed, unable to comprehend what he is seeing, while she pleads desperately for the constellation overseeing her to make it stop. She has no idea how to stabilize herself and fears she will freeze to death if she keeps rising. Cupid, the constellation guiding her, clicks his tongue in annoyance, remarking that at this rate she is going to end up flying directly into his celestial realm. She insists that none of this is her fault. She simply cannot control this absurd ability. She feels no joy or awe in the moment, only rising panic as the cold air stings her skin. Realizing the skill must align with the nature of the constellation, she attempts to imagine Cupid's wings, focusing on the image with everything she has. The moment she visualizes them clearly, shimmering wings materialize behind her, and her proficiency rises sharply. Relief washes over her, only to be replaced by sudden alarm when she remembers she left Suhu, the anchor, on the ground. Below, he is sprinting desperately while the rabbit chases him down. She swoops toward him, extending her hand, urging him to grab it. When his fingers finally latch onto hers, their connection triggers an immediate surge in her status, amplifying her abilities. She closely inspects him, checking whether he is injured, all while struggling to maintain steady control over her flight. Suhu, still clinging to her, looks upward in alarm as something threatens to descend upon them, urging her internally to be cautious, even as she battles her own instability in the air. Before she can react to his warning, the impact has already struck them both. Suhu immediately checks on her, his voice trembling with worry, while she manages a faint assurance that she is all right. He, however, is bewildered. Since when could an E-rank hunter manifest a flight skill of all things? She admits that the explanation would take far too long, though his confusion is understandable. He sorts the pieces together in his mind. Hara receiving an S-Class awakening quest would certainly explain everything. It had felt like one extraordinary situation after another. Her sudden confidence when she claimed she had a way to escape, followed by her launching herself upward as though her true goal had been to reach the stratosphere. She apologizes for startling him, but he dismisses her concern, considering that she saved his life. Gratitude is the only appropriate response. Even so, he remains astonished that he is somehow involved in her awakening quest. The requirement of making physical contact with him appears strangely specific. She cannot possibly reveal that the quest revolves around dating him, so she improvises an excuse, claiming it might be because they were pulled into the dungeon together. He accepts the explanation without further question. The sun is already dipping toward the horizon, and he reminds her that once night falls, the dungeon will transform drastically. Since she has yet to fully complete her class awakening, the environment will become far more dangerous. For safety, they should rely on the raid team that will eventually enter. 3 days would be sufficient. He speaks with the quiet certainty of someone who has absorbed far more knowledge than expected. Even a social affairs reporter, after 3 months on the job, learns these survival patterns. Before darkness fully settles, they must locate a safe zone and move quickly. Hearing this, she decides on the most practical solution. She will carry him. The suggestion leaves him hesitant, but he recognizes the unavoidable truth that it is the only viable method of escape. She gives him room to propose another idea, but he can only admit there is none. For a moment she wonders if he simply does not trust her, yet he clarifies that his concern lies with the weight difference. It might be difficult for her to hold him aloft. She assures him that it will not be a problem, promising to keep him steady. With that, she lifts him into her arms. He asks whether she finds him heavy, but she responds without hesitation. This amount of weight is nothing to her. Their eyes meet and linger, tension spreading between them quietly, almost as though the air itself is aware of it. She attempts to divert the conversation to relieve the growing awkwardness, yet he continues to observe her intently, his gaze fixed and searching. When he speaks her name, she grows uneasy, worried that perhaps he feels discomfort and should voice it. But instead, he asks a question that catches her completely off guard, one that makes her breath pause in her chest. He wonders aloud whether the two of them have met before. The sudden question catches her completely off guard, causing her to stumble and almost drop him, but she quickly regains her balance and grasps him tightly, murmuring an apology. Suhu notices the fatigue etched on her features and suggests that they move forward before exhaustion overtakes her. She nods, relief washing over her as she realizes they have successfully avoided the awkward line of questioning that had been looming in the air. He then asks whether she knows the location of a safe zone. She explains that she caught a glimpse of one briefly earlier when she had flown high, surveying the dungeon from above. Her eyes had scanned the entire expanse, and she had noticed a singular, towering tree standing apart from the rest, with a burst of monster eggs at its base. By the pattern of dungeon design, shelters are often situated near the habitats of large monsters, so it was logical to assume that the safe zone would be nearby. Resolutely, she decides they should head toward that spot for now. Their thoughts are interrupted by desperate cries echoing through the dungeon. They spot a small group of students calling for help, panic evident in their voices. She instructs Suhu to descend closer to them and asks whether they are unharmed. The students assure them that they are okay, though she cannot help but wonder how they ended up caught in this dangerous environment. The students explain that they had come for a simple studio tour when the building unexpectedly began to tremble. By the time they regained their senses, they found themselves trapped within the dungeon. Suhu observes their expressions, recognizing the lingering traces of fear. They must have been terrified when they first realized their predicament. Yet now, with her presence, there is a measure of reassurance. The immediate threat no longer weighs as heavily on them. One of the girls hesitates before confessing that there is still another among them, their friend Yan, who had also been trapped. At first, the students had been paralyzed with shock, unable to act but to cry in fear. Yan, however, remained remarkably composed, the only one who managed to find a hiding spot amidst the chaos. They had clung to hope, believing that if they could endure just a little longer, someone would come to rescue them. But then, a terrifying sight had unfolded before them. Something resembling a giant eagle had swooped down and carried their friend away, leaving them in a renewed wave of despair. The memory makes their voices break, and tears stream freely as they recount the harrowing ordeal. As evening approaches, Suhu has gathered a bundle of branches, stacking them neatly beside him. Hara notices, and, with a hint of relief, thinks that if he hands them over, she can light a fire. She has heard that some safe zones are so small that it's difficult for even a single person to stand comfortably, and the spaciousness of this spot brings her a sense of ease. The children, however, are still crying, their expressions a mixture of horror and sadness, reflecting the traumatic events they have just endured. Hera, wanting to offer some comfort, gestures for them to look at what she has brought. From earlier, she had caught a sizable piece of meat from a monster, and the children cannot believe that she managed it herself. Hera flexes casually, explaining that, as a hunter, such a feat is effortless for her. The children, still astonished, speculate whether she might be an A-class hunter, though one girl mentions that it could simply be because her brother collects hunter cards and she has never actually seen Hara before. Hara opens her mouth to respond, but Suhu intervenes gently, noting that if anyone suddenly asked her what rank she holds, she would likely be flustered. The children nod in agreement and quickly apologize, their curiosity driven by anxiety rather than malice. Hara reassures them, saying it is all right. They were merely asking because they were concerned. She acknowledges that while she may not be an A-class hunter, she is strong enough to protect them all. The children, reassured, murmur that even B-class hunters are formidable in their own right. To lift their spirits further, Hara decides to demonstrate something special. She reveals a weapon, which at first glance appears to be a simple light stick. The children, confused, wonder aloud if she still prefers pistols. Hara clarifies that she does not. The weapon actually belongs to her cousin. One of the girls expresses doubt, remarking that it seems too small to face a demon beast. Hara, however, demonstrates its capabilities, showing that it can extend and emit a brilliant light. Normally, it would not shine so brightly, but in her hands, even an E-class level can illuminate with exceptional intensity. The children's faces light up, their previous fear giving way to cheerfulness as hope begins to return. Suhu suggests that they should prepare some meat, but Hara, ever ready to assist, offers to take care of it herself. Suhu, however, insists on handling the grilling, revealing a surprising proficiency. Watching the children's smiles grow, Hara feels a deep sense of relief. It is clear that, for now, everyone is doing better. Later that night, the four of them sit quietly in front of the fireplace. The children have succumbed to exhaustion, their sleep heavy with the weight of both physical and emotional fatigue. Even though they try to appear strong, the strain of losing a friend at such a young age is profound. Suhu's mind wanders, burdened by thoughts of the friend who had accompanied the students. If they had only been a little faster, perhaps they could have saved her too. The regret gnaws at him, a persistent disturbance he struggles to suppress. Hara too finds herself thinking about that lost friend, the memory weighing heavily on her mind. She turns to Suhu, quietly asking for his assistance, feeling a strong need to search for their friend and ensure that no opportunity for rescue is missed. Suhu's concern is immediate and practical. He asks if Hara intends to go alone, reminding her that she is not even an S-class yet and that venturing into the dungeon alone at night is inherently dangerous. Hera, however, is not swayed by his caution. She recalls something she noticed earlier. One skill remains locked, seemingly a reward for completing the entire hand quest. Excitement flares within her as she realizes it is a skill that can reveal opponent information. Alongside it, she recognizes a movement skill which allows her to reasonably predict the actions of those around her. What remains is a skill called Multiply, one she knows only from fanfiction, its effect tied to reproduction, but not in the sense she fears. Its true power is multiplication. It amplifies her abilities, but only once a day, and for 30 minutes. She feels a thrill of anticipation at the potential. Hara, recalling the constellation Cupid pounding the floor and chuckling heartily, explains to Suhu that she acquired the skill in this unusual manner. Confidently, she assures him that she probably won't be in real danger herself. Suho, still uneasy, insists that going alone is reckless, noting that the student friend may still be alive. Hara recounts that she saw the boss monster leave on patrol recently, and its nest is likely empty, suggesting the path should be clear. Though it may seem reckless, she is determined to do whatever she can, leaving Suho momentarily taken aback. He wonders, not without concern, whether she even fears the dungeon at night. Hara's answer is simple and unhesitant. No, she has no fear. Suho reflects silently that if he had been a little more mature back then, perhaps he could have done what Hara is attempting. Reluctantly, he resolves to stay behind, to protect the children, urging her to go, check on their friend, and return as quickly as possible. As Hara prepares to depart, she trips while opening her wings, twisting her foot slightly. Suho, ever practical, asks her to remove her shoes for a moment and loosens his tie to bandage her foot, explaining that it should help alleviate the pain. The act, simple as it is, causes a blush to creep over her cheeks, a silent acknowledgement of her own embarrassment. Once the bandaging is done, Hera takes off at remarkable speed, promising to return safely, though a twinge of frustration creeps in as she flies. She laments the small humiliations, her socks developing a hole at the worst possible time, but shakes them off, knowing that her skills and power can handle monsters of this level with relative ease. As she navigates the dungeon, a few monsters rush toward her, and she muses briefly on how her rank may evolve if she successfully completes her mission. Perhaps one day she could live independently, free from the constraints of relying on her parents. Determined, she pushes onward, reaching the field boss's territory. As she enters, the area is quiet. The boss has not yet returned. Her special effects activate, artistically intimidating the surrounding environment as her stats are measured, and a surge of power courses through her. She wonders if this is the multiply skill in action, amplifying her efficiency. Suddenly, a voice calls out, soft, frightened, and unmistakably human. It is the girl, Yan. Hara identifies herself as part of the original Natural Disaster Response Policy Agency, responsible for practical safety decisions, and explains that she has come to retrieve Yan, based on what her friends had told her. Relief floods Yan, who clings to Hera, confessing that she had been terrified and feared for her life. Hera reassures her, promising that they will head to a safe zone first before leaving the area. Before they can move further, a shrill, destructive voice echoes through the dungeon, a dungeon major intent on clearing the area. Though the danger is significant, Hera's power is currently doubled, giving her confidence that she can handle any magic beasts that stand in their way. The wind shifts, signaling the approach of danger. George, the overseeing entity, confirms their location and prepares to assess her vicinity. Hara steels herself, the multiply skill enhancing her strength, as she prepares to face whatever the dungeon throws at her and ensure Yan reaches safety. The situation literally terrifies the two of them. Hera wonders why George has returned so quickly, her mind racing as she realizes the urgency of destroying the magic core before he can act. Acting decisively, she channels her resolve and shatters the magic core with a single, determined strike. George is obliterated, leaving Hera with the newly acquired title of Ruthless Rascal. The effect on George is immediate. His essence is engraved with the title, and his movement speed surges unnaturally. As chaos erupts around them, the two of them begin to flee, their flight hurried and frantic. Yan is overcome with fear, but Hara reassures herself and her companions, signaling that there is no reason to panic. The safe zone lies just a little further ahead, and she is determined to guide them there to ensure their safety. They only need to make it back and hold out until reinforcements from the other hunters arrive. However, a sudden warning pierces through her focus. George has spotted her. The safe zone has vanished, swallowed by the presence of their relentless pursuer. Hera reacts instantly, urging caution as a massive, monstrous figure looms behind them. Suho instinctively steps forward, placing himself between the threat and the two girls, shielding them from imminent danger. Hera quickly checks on their well-being, ensuring they have not been harmed, her mind still sharp despite the chaos surrounding them. They affirm that they are unharmed, though the danger remains palpable. It becomes clear that George's gaze has tracked her movements, likely due to her wandering across the vast expanse of the ball's field. The wild monsters running rampant are a direct consequence of this, and she realizes she must act decisively to evade him. Despite this, Suho vows to protect the children, urging them to prioritize their own safety as he takes responsibility for confronting the perilous situation. With a determined resolve, he flies away, preparing to face whatever threats lie ahead. Hera knows that while his actions are admirable, the revelation of her position renders evasion nearly impossible. She has no choice but to confront George directly. The thought is daunting. She remains only half an S-class, her powers unrefined, and she lacks the supportive presence of the reporter Sir, who could potentially bolster her stats. Confidence falters as doubt creeps in, yet she cannot retreat, not when the lives of others hang in the balance. In that moment, amidst overwhelming fear and uncertainty, the constellation Cupid whispers to her, reminding her that with the power of love, nothing is impossible. Hera stands, breath steadying, aware of the peril yet inspired by words that, against all reason, seem capable of shaping reality itself. Even in this harrowing situation, the idea that love could grant strength resonates within her, a beacon of hope in the heart of chaos. She looks up and sees George approaching with terrifying speed. Instinctively, she casts her flight spell, propelling herself into the air, just as George opens his mouth, ready to strike. Heart-pounding, she focuses, shouting silently to herself that she will survive, that she will make it out alive. Clutching only a candlelight, her power is limited, yet she refuses to succumb. Summoning all her strength, she hurls her light stick toward George, willing it to hold against his overwhelming presence. Her magic begins to waver. Notifications flash relentlessly. Scale use halted due to insufficient magic power. Panic flares. Yet in that precise instant, the judge boss falls to the ground, defeated. The achievement unlocks, and Hera acquires the coveted title One Shot, granting her special status. Relief washes over her. Finally, it seems the battle has ended. Meanwhile, at the broadcast station, tension runs high. Voices rise in concern. Someone questions why the response has been so delayed, pleading for the child guardian's safety. Calm is suggested, but urgency hangs thick in the air. The Hunter Association scrambles, doing everything possible to investigate and coordinate. Phones ring incessantly, yet the person being called does not answer. Jung, head of the branch of the Hunter Association, grows increasingly furious. Frustration burns as she demands answers, her voice sharp. Why is no one responding? Why is help delayed in such a critical moment? She turns to her team, asking if anyone has been able to contact Ethan. One man replies that he departed from Sangam district some time ago. Finally, Ethan arrives, late yet determined. Young's temper flares. She questions why he has come only now and orders preparations for the dungeon entry to commence immediately. Ethan, unfazed, asks why she is so angry. She snaps back, incredulous. How could she not be furious in such an urgent situation? He shrugs, claiming it will not even make the front page. The words make her bristle. A gate burst open in the middle of Yoda. She shouts, and 5 people are missing! And that's not front page news? He counters calmly that the media only pays attention when there are at least 10 deaths. The statement makes her twitch involuntarily, fury simmering beneath the surface. Before she can respond further, another notification arrives. The dungeon has already been completed. Bewilderment floods her thoughts. What on earth is happening? At that moment, the director calls out to her. He asks for the name of the missing employee from the Mappo branch who ventured inside. She replies promptly, Hera, an E-Class hunter working in the Magic Stone Management Division. The director pauses, stunned by the revelation. Could it be true? An E-Class hunter accomplishing what was thought impossible? He allows himself a flicker of hope, sensing that perhaps a new superstar has been born.